So they don't have any way to deal with the trash at all?
No, they pick it. There's people that pick your trash in front of your house like every other city.
Yep.
But they don't have a landfill for it.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 4 of a brilliant 5-part series with Ana Vizcaino from Two Birds Coffee in Guatemala. Anna, I want to get straight to it in this episode because we have 2 major things that we want to talk about. And we're talking about obstacles to problem solving related to conservation. We want to talk about 2 major things here. We want to talk about water and we want to talk about deforestation. Let's start with water. Now, when you told me about the water situation, I could not have been prepared for the research that I found when I started looking at the issue of trash that is happening in Guatemala. So why don't you tell everybody about this situation in water?
There's no easy way to say this. There's no sugarcoating anything because we can't.
No.
It's a disaster. It's just a complete disaster. How we manage water is we just don't do it. We just don't. It seems, maybe I'm wrong, but what you see is the lack of caring. They don't care about water. They don't see how important it is. Everybody wants clean water, but nobody wants to do the work. And water, you cannot produce water. So every year is less and less water because we are more and more people wanting it. And we don't have clean water. Like the rivers are not clean. I just went to Georgia to visit a friend of mine, and they have a creek in front of the house. And you can drink it. You can drink the water from the creek. You know, the river that comes to this place is clean.
And the reason Anna's so surprised, check the show notes, folks, because I'm going to link some videos that will help you understand. You can't, no matter how Anna describes this to you, you cannot understand what she means by this water.
Yes, it's you have to see it. You know, because the disaster is so bad that people live next to a river that they cannot even wash their clothes with. They cannot even use it for washing. That's how bad it is.
Yeah. The amount of trash, like when you start to look this up online, they use words like tsunami of trash.
Yes.
It's
a tsunami of trash.
It's wild.
It's awful. It's just awful. I mean, you go in the highway in Guatemala and you have these volcanoes, and the color of the sky in Guatemala is beyond beautiful. It's blue, and then it's just gorgeous, right? And you have all these mountains and stuff. And if you look down, the whole highway is packed with trash. Like on the side of the road, if you really look at it, there's plastic everywhere. It's like a cover of plastic.
In the research that I was doing, when you look at when they're tracking where the trash is coming from, they're saying that it's being thrown into the water or picked up by the rivers from Guatemala City, and it's making its way downstream to other parts of the country and accumulating as these huge, like, as they say, tsunamis of trash. And it's being left to other municipalities to clean it up, but they don't have the right legislation to help them stop the problem from continuing to happen. So the mayors of these towns downstream are tasked with cleaning it up, but the problem has to be stopped in the first place. People need to be stopped from using these plastics in the first place and throwing them into the rivers in Guatemala City. Is that right?
Yeah. And the cities, I agree with that one. But the cities, other cities have grown so much that they have become the same problem.
Wow. Okay.
The city that is closest to me is called Mazatenango, which is in Quiche means the land of the deer. We don't have deers anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. But the amount of trash in that city is overwhelming. It's just as much as the city in Guatemala, because it has grown so big. There's so many people, and they don't have a system of trash. It's non-existent.
So they don't have any way to deal with the trash at all?
No. They pick it. There's a people that pick your trash in front of your house, like every other city.
Yep.
But they don't have a landfill for it.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Mapper Forward's first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant. Available now online for you to learn at your own pace, with a certificate available upon completion. Click the link in the show notes to access today for just €50.
So what they do is I know this because I saw it. They rent a piece of a farm to put the trash on. So they just dump the trash in there, which is, I don't know. I'm not very good with areas or the measurement of an area, but I don't know, maybe the size of a house. After that, trash.
Yep.
It's a river. Right. So when it rains, and when in Guatemala, when it rains, it pours. It's not just a rain thingy, you know?
Right.
It's
like a monsoon. Yeah.
And it can be hours of rain, right?
Wow.
So when trash, when the rain falls under that mountain of trash, because now it's a mountain of trash, it just
carries it away.
It goes to the river. The same with the highway. What happens is that the rain washes all the trash and ends in a river. That's how it is.
Wow.
And that's why the tsunamis of trash, because we don't have a system.
And I want to ask you, I know that David Browning from Enveritas came and talked to us about how they were tasked with cleaning the water in Ethiopia. So I know that coffee production can be very taxing on the water supply as well. So it contributes to, I don't want to say damaging the water, but it does pollute the water.
Yes.
What happens there?
There are so many things that you can do. I mean, you have to change the whole system. You cannot do conventional coffee because it uses so much water to wash it and to do the fermentation. But with Christopher, we have done amazing stuff, because not only the mill can reuse the water like 3 times for washing. We use the water 3 times, right? And that is all. And I didn't invent this. This is in the market, okay? And with Christopher, what he did for me is the fermentation that he uses. The coffee that he buys from me, it goes through a process where I barely use water.
This is Christopher Ferran, who, for anyone who doesn't know, he works very closely with the Two Birds family. In about a month, we have somebody coming on the podcast who's working on her PhD at the moment on this specific thing, where she can demonstrate that coffee production can happen with, I think it's 1 cup of water.
Yes.
Very little water for the whole crop.
That would be amazing.
So
I use
So when once she's submitted her dissertation, she's going to come and talk about it on the podcast. I'm really excited for that, because and this is for a wash coffee.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah.
I'm very interested in that for sure.
So this is, when we have these problems, and this whole series is about how challenging it is to solve these problems. These solutions come from not just the people who are experiencing this. You've got Christopher, who is on the consuming end of the supply chain. You've got this person who is, yes, she's at origin, but she's a scientist, right? Well, it's all of these people who are contributing to solving a problem, but these are really, really serious problems.
This is a very serious problem for the world. Not just for Guatemala, This is a global problem, and we need to solve it at origin.
Yep.
You cannot. What are you going to do with the plastic? It's amazing because I know that there's people picking it up from the ocean, the rivers. That's amazing, but that is not the solution. That's just like a Band-Aid, you know.
And it sounds like these are problems that just make a producer's life super, super much harder than it needs to be, which leads me to the next thing that we're going to talk about. And guys, I just want to, before we enter this, we are going to tell a story of something that's happening. We're going to tread very careful for legal reasons, and we are going to be using terminology that just be patient with us with regards to the way that we describe this story. Now, when we're talking about life being difficult as a coffee producer, deforestation is something that keeps coming up in conversations with legislation and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then as coffee producers, your community is really important.
Yes.
Right? Tell us the story that you want to share with us.
I have never had a problem with, in 45 years, you know, with that any neighbors. I never had a problem with anybody. I have never used a lawyer, except when I got married. I needed a lawyer to sign the papers, and I think that was the last time I used a lawyer. I'm living in Guatemala, and I'm doing all the things that I think are the right thing, blah blah blah, the whole thing, you know, trying to do my best here, and all of a sudden, my neighbor decides to invent that part of my farm is his. So
yes, you heard that right, folks. The neighbor just decided to encroach on. I think we're supposed to say something. Allegedly, encroached on the Two Birds farm and just took it.
Yeah, he just did out like a map, a little thingy, you know, but his farm on both sides, and just went through my farm.
It cut down everything that was there, deforested it for all intents and purposes. And what did he do with that land?
No, now we are into a legal situation with this guy.
But he built a road. He built something on it, didn't he?
He wanted a road, so it was a road for him.
He just decided.
He just decided that in that place we are gonna do a road, and it was his place, you know. And it happened in 2 days. It happened one time, and I'm like, what are they doing? So I called the lawyer, and I called my brother, and I asked, what do I do, right? The next day, in the morning, they did that in the next part. They never stopped. So I had to, now I have armed guards at the farm for the first time in 13 years. I don't know what to do with a gun. I don't know. I'm just like one of those people, okay? Like I have never been, I don't like them. But also I am afraid of them a little bit. Yeah.
I'm with you there.
It is not my part of me.
Yeah.
So I have never had armed people, armed guards at the farm. But now I have 6. Because of the legal situation that we are in, we cannot let them inside the farm, right? So they are not going to, if I say you cannot come in and I don't have any guards, they are just going to come in. So now I have guards, and I'm in this legal battle, proving that the farm, that piece of land inside the farm is mine.
I mean, it's hard enough to run a business anyway. And then when people start taking and stealing, like cutting down trees and things, that even at that level, the whole deforestation side of it from a conservation perspective is just shitty. But then when they're doing it, stealing your land and building a road because they just want to, allegedly. Yeah.
And then, it's just and we were talking before about the trash and this organization and no authority in Guatemala. It travels, right? That way of living travels to a person that is allowed. He allowed himself to do this because he knows that maybe he thought I was not going to do anything. I was going to let it happen, right? And there's no authority either. You cannot just call the police and the police is going to stop this guy. They are afraid of them. The police is actually afraid of these people.
Wow. Which is why you've got armed guards.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does
and the armed guards are going to be there just until we how do you
settle?
say that? I settle.
You finalize everything.
When everything is proven and everything, I'm going to build my fence again, and the guards
at your own expense.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
How confident are you that this alleged person that's doing this alleged thing isn't going to pay off people? Like, how do you as a business owner like approach something like this with optimism, knowing the way that the system works?
There's nothing I can do. That's another podcast.
Right.
On its own, the lack of justice. Yeah. The lack of authority, the lack of everything. I am not totally positive that I'm going to solve this. According to my lawyer, she says 90%. She's 90% sure that we can prove and we can defend ourselves. So hopefully she's going to be that person, to help me.
I really hope so, because I mean, it is so hard to solve problems that happen every day. When stuff like this turns up for a business owner, it's not so much, even though the money that you have to throw at something like this is hard. Yeah. That's the way that this mentally taxes you. What's that been like for you, if you don't mind sharing?
No, I don't. It was at the moment that it happened, I didn't know. I was shocked. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know. So I called my brother, because he lives there, right? He has lived Guatemala all his life. So I called him, and he's like, "You need to do this right this minute. You need to have these people armed. I told you this was going to happen to you. All this stuff," because he thinks that I should be armed. Well, he's armed,
Right.
There's guards everywhere. And he personally, he carries a gun, So he wanted me from the beginning to be that person, but I'm not. So, and it was awful. It was just awful. My husband and I, we didn't talk about anything else for a month.
Right.
How are we going to do this? Now what is happening? Figuring it out what to do. And who are you going to trust? What lawyer can you trust to do a better job?
In a corrupt society.
Yeah.
Well, and the worst part about something like this, in my experience, is it changes you. It changes the way that you then start doing business.
That is so sad. Absolutely. That's the part that really, it hurts me. It's absolutely, I have to change. I have to, my now is, I don't trust that anybody.
Yeah. And I'm really sorry that you experienced that. And I can really empathize with that. You feel like you're losing a part of the innocence of like your soft heart, right? Like you end up feeling like, okay, I've got to not be so soft and so naive about this, but I don't want to change that part of myself because, Anna, you're a beautiful human. It's a part of what makes you so beautiful that you have faith in people and that you show up for people and that you have integrity. This is a part of what is just such a big part of your family. So for that to be challenged and for somebody else, they have, I don't know what's the word, they've abused you. They've taken advantage of your softness, and they've taken it for themselves, and they have damaged a part of you. And I'm sorry that that's happened. But again, folks, this is demonstrating how really hard it is for producers to solve some of these problems.
Yeah, and it teaches you stuff also. In a positive way. You can say, people see it. It was like an example, because the workers at the farm, for example, they were like, they didn't know how to ask me what was happening, because it's a thing, right? So I cannot hide what is happening. It's not a secret.
Yep.
You see it every single day that you're going through there. You see it. So they at the end, maybe a month after that, they asked me, what is happening? Did you sell the piece of land, or did you give them permission to do this, or why are they here now, right? So I explained, and I said what was happening. So they know that I'm going to a lawyer, and then I have to go to court, and they have to, there's going to be a person, a judge, and everything, and they need to learn also that you can do that. You cannot just take
it. Empowers them
to
stand up for themselves.
Yeah, because in Guatemala is who's the strongest,
who's the richest, who's the.
You hear me? I'm gonna hit you two times. They take justice into their own hands, like this guy did. I mean, that's what he wanted. So he did it.
He just took it. He wanted it. He took it.
Yeah. And
I'm
that
so
happens.
Sick of this behavior.
I know. That happens a lot, and it happens everywhere in Guatemala. It's like there's no justice. There's no,
It happens far more than we talk about it. It happens in America. It happens in Australia. It happens here in the Middle East. It happens everywhere. And we don't talk about it as people who do have soft hearts, because we like to keep thinking about the world as in a positive way. We like to keep seeing the best in people.
There's no the crime against women in Guatemala is probably one of the worst countries in the world. It's just the behavior against women is abominable. It's awful, and nobody knows about it because they think that they're not going to be defended. They are the victims, but they know that justice in Guatemala doesn't exist. So why are they going to go and spend money on a lawyer and
be humiliated in public?
So people don't how do you say that? When people
they don't stand up for themselves. They
don't. There's no record of the crime.
Yeah. In Mexico, they're standing up a lot for this. They call it femicide.
Yes.
And there's a lot of protesting. Again, say again, please.
And Mexico is doing a lot better with this. They were really bad a few years ago, but they are doing so much better. Women are talking about it. They are fighting,
protesting.
Yes. Yeah. In Guatemala, we are not at that level yet.
I hope it starts to happen soon, because it's there's with the Me Too movement and things like that. It's been something that layers have been started to shave off this problem, but it's still not fixed. It's not even close to being fixed, no matter where it is. So, a really interesting thing on that. I know that people might be thinking, well, Lee, you're in the Middle East. Like, now I live in the Middle East, and, women are treated really badly, apparently, here in the Middle East. Folks, I want you to know something. Just because we're talking about the way that women are treated. Here in the Middle East, and I'd love to hear what you think about this, they have different sections. If there's seating, they have women's area, and they don't call the other part for men, but they have a separate area for women if the women want to sit separate from the men. Okay. And here, they don't do it because they're protecting the men. They're doing it out of respect to the women. If the women want to have space,
Guilt.
They are carving out a space for women not to be hassled by anybody. And I've got to tell you, it's glorious.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you had a space that was just separated out for women so that they could get their own area to just be respected?
Awesome.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Awesome. Yeah. One of the things that I remember when we moved here, we were in Guate. My daughter, Ana Maria, was visiting, but she stayed because she was in between jobs. So she stayed with us for a few months. And we were she was walking like she walks. I mean, first of all, she's gorgeous, okay? She's super. And she has her shorts and the top, and she was walking to a bar or something, and it was in the afternoon, and the men couldn't not harass her, right? They had to say something. They had to belittle her a little, just on the until she got fed up. So what she does now, when she's in Guatemala, she puts her headphones, and she concentrates on her music or whatever she's listening to, and ignores them, like totally ignores them. She feels safer that way.
And every woman listening to this has experienced it.
Yes. Yes.
And to the men who think that women feel flattered by it, Anna, do women feel flattered by being spoken to this way?
It's awful. It's awful. On the contrary, you feel little. You feel ashamed. You feel embarrassed that you have shorts on. It's a shame for a woman. It's absolutely, it destroys you.
And you feel scared. And you feel unsafe. And you're worried what that's going to escalate into.
You get anxiety going outside or going out by yourself. You get a little anxiety at home, Yeah. You get very scared. Yeah. So that's a real.
It's a real thing.
A real thing.
Whether it's in the middle of the day or it's at night, it really doesn't matter. You just don't know what a guy's going to do once he's catcalling you or saying anything to you. There's been situations where men say something to you, you don't respond, you try to act like I'm not going to pay attention to this, and then they get angry with you because you didn't respond to them, so they come up to you.
Yeah. It happened to me when I was younger, and with what right?
Yeah.
You don't have the right to be telling me anything. I don't know you.
Yep. We have covered a lot in this episode. We've got one more episode to go. And in this episode, we're going to end this series on a kind of a positive note, which is the problems that coffee can solve. So join us in the next episode, folks. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.